Well, hello and welcome to Bowtie Life, where we talk mostly about life in the garden. And it is a miserable, rainy day out, but I'm not talking about that in this video, though we are coming up on a weather talk. And we're not talking about all these fermenting hot peppers, which we're going to talk about in another video. But I do want to talk about today's harvest of tomatoes. And you say, okay, great, he harvested tomatoes. Today is December 2nd of 2023. This is today's harvest, and there's still a bunch to come. So let's get into that. Hi, I'm Bowtie Dave. So as I've already mentioned, it's a miserable, rainy day out. It is Saturday, December 2nd, and it started raining yesterday afternoon, Friday, actually late morning. Rained all day yesterday. It's supposed to rain all day tomorrow, Sunday. Well, half the day tomorrow, Sunday, and it's raining all day today. We get occasional thunder. I was trying to get a recording of some thunder happening, but it's very seldom. I can't stand there for 2 hours waiting for a single clap of thunder. So maybe you'll hear something in the background on this video. But I wanted to show you this tomato harvest, and this is mostly Everglades tomatoes, cherry tomatoes, ripen faster. But I want to talk about the history of these tomato plants, and particularly my Roma tomato plants, which are starting to produce here in December of 2023. Winter is coming, and we have hundreds of Roma tomatoes, as you can see in this video from last month's garden tours, almost 3 weeks ago. And they're ripening up. In fact, these two are the first two that have ripened up from that garden tour. And there's one other that's red, and there's a bunch of others that are just starting to show red. But it's really interesting because, I mean, we had a little bit of Roma tomatoes, and mainly Roma tomatoes off of these plants back in the spring, because we planted these on March 3rd of this year. We planted these seeds on March 3rd, and come around, I don't know, 50, 60 days, we came up with, we had some plants, we put them out in the garden at 96 days, which is really perfect because these particular seeds are supposed to come up to ripeness at 90 days from transplant, and they have 6 days to germinate, so 96 days. Actually 7 days, but they germinated for me in less than that. So anyway, you know, you figure at 150 days, in fact, look at this picture. These tomatoes look terrible. At 150 days, this is what they look like, all brown, all crispy. And I know most people would tear them out. It was the middle of our hot summer, and it was very, very hot. However, I did put a shade cloth over it. And if you look at some of the video tours from previous months, you can see that shade cloth over the tomatoes. And it did a lot of good, but the plants didn't grow much on top. They did grow underground, though. They were developing their roots, and they were just waiting patiently. And that's something we gardeners talk about frequently, is learning some patience. And so anyway, I let these things go, and I'll be honest, not totally from my knowledge. Part of it was because we got really busy this summer, and I simply did not have the time to pull anything out. So anyway, come around, the weather starts cooling off in September, and we start getting Roma tomatoes. Well, we'll start getting these cherry tomatoes, Everglades, and there's also some Sunsweet in here. But these Roma tomatoes started coming out, and I started getting excited in September, August maybe? I don't think it was August. I think it was September. And in fact, I'll show here on one of the garden tours and put the date on it. But they started coming out, and then they've been taking their time coming out. And what was happening when all those plants looked really dead, though, is they're developing their root system. A strong, healthy root system down there, so that when the weather did cool down, and yes, the weather's going to eventually cool down because it's a season, when the weather did cool down, they were going to start to produce. And so here we are in full production. I harvested 3 pounds a few days ago, and then harvested over 2.5 pounds today. That's over a kilo of cherry tomatoes. And of course, the 2 Roman tomatoes don't weigh very much, but we're getting a lot of tomatoes, and we're going to be able to put some sauce up. Mrs. Bowtie wants to put up some pasta sauce for the winter, so that we'll have a year's supply of it. And I'm beginning to think that we're going to get it, because we're up to 4 gallons of tomatoes, mostly cherry tomatoes. But if we can get all these Roma tomatoes harvested, we're going to have a lot of Romas mixed in there too. So one thing I did do, and let me just show you this. So this one plant has a single tomato on it. It's got a couple of others starting since I did bag the organzas. Now that one looks a little rough, so I'm going to pop that one off in the hopes that we'll focus more on this one. We're getting too close to the end here, so these flowers are definitely not going to have a chance to develop. This plant here has a few on it. A couple down there, a couple here, and a couple back in the back there, so I'm not going to let it waste its energy on any more flowers or well, that one's already dead, but I'm going to cut it anyway. Flowers or tomatoes. These are kind of latecomers over here. Kind of painful, but we're getting down to the end of the season, and I want to get it to focus as much as it can on developing what it does have. Now this plant here, that's the only one it has on it. It didn't get organza bagged. It was a late developer. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to cut these up here so it won't waste energy. And this one here, I got nothing. So it's obviously not going to develop. I do see somewhere here, oh, up here on the top, there's some buds, which obviously are not going to develop, but since the plant is not wasting energy on anything else, I'm just going to leave it. This will be the gamble. So basically what's going on here is I want the plants to focus on just developing what's already there. And if we leave these other tomatoes on here that are trying to grow, they're also taking some of the energy. And if we keep these at bay, keep the new ones at bay, then the original, or the biggest ones, will develop faster. And so looking at, and you can look at 3 different forecasts. You can look at the long range forecast, which is the next 1 to 3 months, which is kind of a, here's an idea. It most definitely is not accurate. It's kind of an idea of what they think might happen. Then they have like a 2-week forecast, which you can get on like, I think Weather Nation does, not Weather, Weather Underground, and maybe Weather Channel. I think both of those do a 14-day forecast, which I always just go on the website on rare occasions to see what that's had. But most of the time you can get a 10-day forecast pretty easily that's going to be fairly accurate. They say 7 days is the most accurate, of course, but you start getting further and further out. But anyway, our forecast says that, well, next weekend is going to be another semi-warm weekend. We're going to have a few cold days, so I'm crossing my fingers that we can get more of these Romas developed and growing and put up for the winter. So the more we can do, the more pasta sauce we're going to do, and we'll be making a video, of course. But anyway, I'm just kind of the mind, it's not over till it's over. And with our Florida weather, we're in Destin, Florida, with our Florida weather, you just never know which direction it's going to go. And we're coming into our 7th winter. We've spent 6 full winters here, and in those 6 winters, we've had two winters ago, we had a winter without a single frost. And then last winter, of course, it snapped back the other way, and we had some of the coldest temperatures recorded in a very long time, since the 80s. And we'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, yeah, 18 degrees Fahrenheit, 9 degrees Celsius. That's pretty darn cold, or 8 degrees Celsius, I think. Anyway, we just don't know what our weather's going to do completely. So I enjoy just keep on going and see what we can get. And I really feel like this year is when I reap the rewards. So anyway, that's about all I wanted to talk about on these tomatoes. And sometimes you can just kind of gamble and hope and watch the forecast. Weather people or garden people typically watch those forecasts so you can find out what's going on. One thing I am concerned about, all this rain. We're getting a lot of rain in these 3 days, and they're saying we could get up to 4 or 5 inches of rain. One thing I am concerned about is the splitting. But as you saw in the little video snippets here, I've got everything enclosed in organza bags, so they'll be protected from birds tearing them up when they split. So hopefully that will help. When they split, it's not necessarily a bad thing. They're still edible. If the split starts drying out, you need to cut that out, of course, maybe. But it's still an edible tomato. So anyway, thank you for watching the video. For those of you who have subscribed, you are my heroes. Thank you so much for helping to grow this channel. It has been exciting to see where it's gone, and we are approaching the 2/3 mark for our first major milestone. And I truly appreciate those of you who are subscribed, and for everyone who watches these videos. All of these things are things that help grow the channel. And so for those of you who have not yet subscribed, please do so. We do still need help. We still have a ways to go before we hit that first major milestone. And if you thought this video was informational, educational, inspirational, or just entertaining, please click the thumbs up and share it on your social media. That too helps grow the channel. So anyway, tomatoes, so good. Oh, that was a super sweet. So good. Y'all have a blessed day.